Hello, everyone, and I hope you're having a great week so far. Earlier in the semester, we learned about the blur and sharpen tools in Photoshop, tools that allow us to blur images or enhance the visible edges of objects within images. While these tools are incredibly useful for blurring and sharpening small areas with brushes, when you want to affect a selection or an entire image or layer, the blur and sharpen filters are the tool to use. In this lesson, we're going to learn about the various sharpening filters in Photoshop and some applications for their use. First, we will be downloading our example photo for this lesson, Intricate Moroccan Architectural Doorway by Musa Idrissi. Open up this image in Photoshop. Sharpening is used to enhance edges in an image, thus creating a sharper appearance. This can be done to retouch blurry images or to create a creative sharpened effect. You can also use selective sharpening to increase contrast in a specific area, thus drawing more interest to that area of an image. Some ways you might use this word might be to increase the contrast around eyes in a portrait because eyes are what we as humans focus on first. To find the various sharpen filters, navigate to Filter in the top menu bar and then hover over Sharpen near the bottom of the list. There are currently 5 sharpen filters and 1 sharpening technique outside of the sharpen filter group. First, we have Sharpen. It increases the edge contrast slightly throughout the entire selected area or image. This actually isn't commonly used in modern image editing due to having no options. You click on the filter and it sharpens. Sharpen edges and sharpen more are very similar, having either stronger or weaker effects to the original sharpen. But these are also not commonly used because they also don't have any options. Once we get down to smart sharpen, however, this is actually in use. This is a more modern sharpening filter. In addition to the basic radius and strength sliders, it also has a reduce noise slider that can help reduce the sharpening of noise in the picture, and the sharpening will be more focused on edges. It also has options for selectively reducing the amount of sharpening in shadow or highlight areas that you can experiment with to get a specific look or effect. The other one that can be used is Unsharp Mask. This is the true basic sharpen filter, this time with actual options. It performs essentially the opposite operation of a Gaussian blur. It gives you strength and radius sliders, and also a threshold slider. Threshold works similarly to reduce noise in Smart Sharpen. All of these sharpen filters only work on a single layer at a time. So if you have an image with multiple layers, how can you sharpen it non-destructively? One option is to make your image into a smart object and then apply the sharpening filters to that smart object. Or you can use a high pass filter. High pass is found in the other section under filter in the top menu bar. To use high pass, you want to first create a merged copy of your image and set it at the top of the layer stack, and then you run the high pass filter. You then want to change the radius to a relatively low number where you just start to see the outlines of some of the details you want sharpened or enhanced. Your high pass filter at this point will look largely gray, which will then put into use by setting the blending mode to overlay, soft light, or linear light. Then you can just adjust the layer opacity to control the strength, allowing you to do this after the filter is applied. This means that if you want to go back and do some further fine tuning of your layers, such as adjusting the brightness, color tint, etc., you can do this on layers below without having to redo all the sharpening. That can be extremely convenient. Now, if we zoom into this photo, we can see that some of the edges look a little out of focus and some of the detail in the tiles and architecture look a little muddy. This is the perfect application for the sharpen filter. Using either Smart Sharpen, Unsharp Mask, or the high pass filter, sharpen this image until the objects look more in focus and clear. Be careful though, it's easy to apply too much of the sharpening effect and end up with halos and artifacts around edges. Try and keep it fairly subtle, just enough to clear up the detail in the image. Once you've gotten the sharpening effect that you like, I then want you to apply a gradient map adjustment layer over the image. Feel free to choose a default gradient to use, as long as it's not the basic white to black gradient. But I encourage you to make a custom gradient with 3 or more colors in it. I'm going to create a custom one here in the video so you can see what colors I choose and how I adjust the gradient to fit the image. Once you've sharpened this image and created a gradient map, then you just want to name your this file following our standard naming scheme, put it into your Google Drive folder and put a link into Canvas. And then all you have to do is click the submit assignment button and you're done. I hope that answers some of the questions you might have had about sharpening filters and how to sharpen images. And as usual, if you have any additional questions, feel free to message me on Canvas and I'll do my best to clarify anything that I've talked about. In the meantime, I hope you have a great week and I will talk to you at the next lesson. Take care until then.